I'm Katherine Medlock, the East Tennessee Program Director based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm here today to talk with you about the Cherokee National Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative. The landscape that we're talking about is the north zone of the Cherokee National Forest. This is the portion of the forest that's north of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in upper northeast Tennessee. It spans about 7 counties and it comprises about 340,000 acres of national forest lands. And there's been a history of contention in this landscape going back to before the last plan revision process, and there have been some appeals and litigation associated with those conflicts. And you may ask why we want to do restoration in these forests, and there are a number of reasons. First and foremost, we have a number of forest pests and pathogens that are bearing down upon this area, and we want to be as prepared for those when they come as we can be. And additionally, the land here in most of our eastern national forest was cut and often burned and even grazed prior to and even shortly after the Forest Service acquired those lands in the early 1930s. And in addition to that, there's been at least 50 years of pretty effective fire suppression in these lands. And so the results of that is that we have a largely even-aged, closed-canopied forest that should require some restoration. So our goal was to develop a set of scientifically sound, ecologically appropriate, consensus-based recommendations to the Forest Service. And this was no small order. In order to do that, we developed a 13-member steering committee. It was comprised of some very, very diverse interests. Spent several months early on deliberating about what process we might use, and the committee agreed in the end that the Nature Conservancy's landscape conservation forecasting was probably the best process for our specific effort. Landscape conservation forecasting is also known as ECAP, or Enhanced Conservation Action Planning. It's known by both names, so if you hear me call it ECAP, that would be why. It was developed by the Nature Conservancy, several of our staff members, Greg Lowe, Susan Abel, and Louis Provencher. And this effort in the Cherokee National Forest was the first time it was ever used in an eastern landscape, so it was a bit of a pilot here. And in short, LCF is a planning and modeling tool that's designed to improve forest management decision-making. And it is designed to improve all forest management decision-making. It's not just about fire. However, it does use the LANDFIRE biophysical setting models, and it also uses the Vegetation Dynamics Development Tool, VDDT, in order to model scenarios. The way that we used it was to determine our restoration goals, also can be referred to as the ecological departure analysis, and we did that by comparing those LANDFIRE biophysical settings to the current conditions. And LCF also allows multiple scenarios to be compared to one another, including the best return on investment. Several of the main reasons why LCF worked for the Cherokee were because, first and foremost, it is based on the best available scientific information, and if you'll remember, that was one of our primary goals. It also allowed for localization of those LANDFIRE models. LANDFIRE is a national product that's designed to be used at a national scale, but it does allow for some relatively easy localization efforts, which we were able to do on the Cherokee. And that helped make many of our stakeholders feel comfortable using it. It also allowed multiple scenarios, the LCF allowed multiple scenarios to be tested by the committee in real time. And what I mean by that is that if one committee member decided that they would like to see what would happen over a 20-year period, what would happen to the landscape if we added 100 acres of fire every year, prescribed burning, or maybe it was 1,000 acres or even 10,000 acres. With a push of a button, we could get an answer to that question in less than a minute. And so that was really, really useful to our committee, and to be able to understand those types of scenarios in real time. Success is very sweet. We did complete our final report as a committee in February of 2012, and we're currently undergoing phase 2 of our process, which is a watershed level and designed to look at site-specific implementation of this information. It's currently underway. But even more importantly than that, the committee is still standing, and the relationships among stakeholders has grown ever stronger, and the relationship between the Forest Service and those stakeholders continues to get better along the way. And I invite you to visit our website at the bottom of the screen to download the full report and keep up to date with our products as we move forward. And thank you so much for letting me talk to you today about the Cherokee National Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative.